how you doing?
Hey.
Garth.
Hey, Tiny, who's playing tonight?
Jolly Green Giants, Shitty Beatles.
The Shitty Beatles. Are they any good?
They suck.
Then it's not just a clever name. Who else?
Crucial Taunton, they're just finishing the set.
I hear they can wail.
You're right. Party on.
Party on.
Yo.
All right, wait.
The Tainted Love Network presents It's Getting Drafty in Here with Magnificent Stan, a show about nothing.
Well, what's the show about? About nothing.
With special guests.
We're on the clock.
Then when are we sending in the ticket? I already sent the ticket.
Hello, welcome to episode 5 of It's Getting Drafty in Here, presented to you by the Tainted Glove Network. I am your host, Brian, also known as Magnificent Stan. And today is Friday, December 30th, 2022. Tonight's topic, we are going to talk about movie soundtracks. My two guests tonight are two guys that are just absolute music lovers. First, we got Tony, the Sugar Baggy, who is part of the Hookup on Film podcast. How you doing, Tony?
Doing good. Thank you for having me on.
Right on. Ready to get this going. And we also have the Southside Bum from the Chicago Sports Bums. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome. I told you guys pre-show. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm ready to roll here.
So just so everybody knows, before we do every episode, I put together a DM thread in Twitter, and we always just go back and forth. And I can tell you right up front that Tony has been agonizing for days over what he's going to pick, and I've been kind of on the edge of my seat the entire time. So, have you definitively figured out where you're going with this?
Oh, I definitely know where I'm going with this.
Perfect. Okay. And real quick, before we get started here, I want to thank everyone that showed up the other night on playback for our watch party. Svo, Luke, and I had a great time. You were there, Southside Bum. There were a lot of fun guys in there. We had a good time, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of those moving forward. But yeah, let's not dilly dally here. Let's get right into it. You know what? I'm sorry. Before we start, I wanted to go over our guidelines. This is the first episode where we have actual guidelines to the episode, to the actual draft itself. We're doing 5 rounds. The 3 of us are doing 5 rounds. You have to pick one of each: a movie score, a studio soundtrack, a musical, and a Disney movie. And then you have that last pick for whichever of the 4. Whichever wild card one you want to pick. So yeah, I wanted to add a little more direction to it, a little more I think it'll make it a little funner if we do it this way. I have a couple more coming around the way that have that kind of format. But okay, let's get started, Tony. What do you got?
All right. First movie soundtrack that I picked here is going to be my studio soundtrack. And I can't remember who it is, but this discourse on this soundtrack has been going on a lot, especially online here. And it is the Crow soundtrack. I'm going with the Crow right off the bat here for many, many, many different reasons. The soundtrack's loaded pretty much, 14 tracks. 12 of them are pretty much solid from front to back. Starting out with The Cure, Burn is an awesome, awesome song. Machines of Love and Grace, really awesome industrial band that not a lot of people talk about, but their song on there, Golgotha, Tenement Blues, pretty good track. Track 3, hear a lot of people talk bad about Stone Temple Pilots. I sure hope we don't ever talk, because Stone Temple Pilots really...
I don't have a problem with Stone Temple Pilots.
I love them. Yeah. I love Stone Temple Pilots.
And honestly, this song is a little bit, when people are like, they're a lot like this band and they're a lot like that band. This song is a little bit not like a lot of other songs of those bands that they compare them to. And I really like Big Empty quite a lot.
I like the song too. I felt that it was a little out of place for that soundtrack just because it had a certain sound to it. But yeah, it's a good song.
When you hear the whole soundtrack, I mean, I remember, because the soundtrack came out before Purple, and the song was out before. That was the lead track off of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't like the movie or whatever, but the song for when it came out, and then remembering the movie when it came out, I just thought it fit perfectly. But then when you listen to the other tracks on the album, it's nothing like anything else on the album. Because then you go into Nine Inch Nails doing Joy Division's Dead Souls. That's amazing.
So good.
Rage Against the Machine, Darkness, another awesome song. I like Violent Femmes. That's a good song. But Rollin' Band doing Ghost Rider, pretty awesome.
You ever see Rollins Band live?
No, I have not.
Really
No,
good.
They
will literally kill themselves. Henry Rollins will kill himself to
Yeah, he's nuts.
appease his fans.
I mean, generally, you keep going down the list. Helmet, Milk Toast.
One of my favorite bands of all time, right there. Helmet.
Yeah, recently they came into town with what is that? With Clutch, and they played that song. That was
Did
awesome.
they?
Yeah.
I wanted to go to that show. I was sick.
Pantera though, definitely the Badge, Poison Idea cover, awesome.
Yep.
And then you go through the rest of it. My Thrill Kill Cold Cult, Jesus Mary Chain.
Mary Chain can't do anything wrong. So
definitely, I think a solid soundtrack for the '90s. Go on.
I kind of feel like when you look at this and you listen to it, you're like, why the hell is Al Jorgensen not involved? But
yeah, why no Ministry?
Ministry should be like right up there.
It's like the granddaddy of the
song.
sound.
A 6-minute, 39-minute song to start up the album is pretty, and it also sold 3 million copies. Huge success. Definitely, I think a good one.
Yeah, very. I don't love the movie, and it's definitely not something that has been hidden over the years. I've been playfully joking with Yumpert's Foe over the years that I do not enjoy that movie. I haven't seen it in 20 years, so maybe I should watch it again. But
I've always leaned on your side to the whole entire thing.
Nice.
I've gotten into a lot of arguments over it, but that being said, I'm also somebody who now, when I watch it and look back at it, I can appreciate it more. A lot of people put it up on
I think if I watch it again, I probably will have a little more.
A lot of people put it on a huge pedestal when it came out of the gate.
Right.
And I think I had other movies that I enjoyed a lot more than that. And I don't like when people put one movie above all others. I like to talk about movies as like they're all awesome or they all suck. I don't like to be like, The Crow's so cool. This other movie's not as cool as The Crow. And it's like, oh, shut up. But,
that's our buddy. That's our buddy's foe.
But it's all good, and I like that soundtrack.
That was one of my top few. I had it. I actually swung back today on what my 1-1 was. So I think I'm gonna skip over it right now because I don't think our Southside bum friend here is gonna pick it. So let's I'm gonna get the shit. I'm gonna get the Disney one out of the way and make my wife very happy.
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
That's a good one.
Not, like I said, not my 1-1 pick, but I think it's a little safer to pick it now than what I wanted to pick. So I'm gonna go this one. There's nothing that Danny Elfman can do wrong in life. I've loved Oingo Boingo for years. I love everything that guy does, and I'm
we
sure
could turn this into 2 hours of Oingo Boingo.
Right, exactly. But I don't want to dive too deep into Danny Elfman because I'm going to assume that. Well, I'm not going to assume. I'm gonna maybe think that we're going to see him again in this draft, perhaps. So not gonna do. But yeah, that's just I think that is the best Disney soundtrack of all time. There's a lot of great ones, and here we go. There you go. I'll pick. We'll show that one because I don't think anybody's picking that. I actually have that on vinyl. I bought it.
That's a good one.
It's kind of cool actually. It's one half is Back to School, and then the other half is Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorite Yeah, that's like my favorite score soundtrack that I have. But this one's not a score. This is a Disney one. Um, yeah, I mean, this is Halloween. You know, all the laments, everything is wonderful in that soundtrack. It's the lifeblood of that movie itself. Um, and yeah, I mean, that movie would not have been where it was without the wonderful, wonderful work of Danny Elfman. So
Yeah,
let's
I
go.
mean-
Let's go Night Before Christmas.
Danny Elfman, man, really good pick. You see, he's been playing some live shows of recently in California.
Yeah.
He's doing a song from this too, and he hilariously Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit's part of the band, and he's one of the guitar players. I mean, he's got like 4 guitar players up there, but pretty cool to watch on YouTube if you get a chance.
Cool. I know they used to do Oingo Boingo used to play one day a year, and obviously you can guess which day of the year they play. And they stopped doing it a few years ago. So would be cool though. But all right, let's go with number 3, Mr. Bum.
All right. Well, I thought we were gonna go studio albums, we're gonna go musicals, but now that we're kind of going all over the place here, now you got me thinking here. I mean, I was looking at my studio ones first, and I'm just like, fuck, I don't know which one I want, to pick out of those. So I'm second guessing myself of which one I want first, because I mean, the ones that I picked are just, I
Well,
love
at
them
least
all, so.
look on the bright side. You have 2 here. So
Yeah, that's true. So, fuck it. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna just get it out of the way, because then I'm gonna be second by guessing myself once I get to that point. So I'm gonna go with the studio album here. So, I'm gonna go Dazed and Confused. Dazed and Confused.
Excellent pick.
Yeah, I love that movie. I watched that movie in high school. I know it came out, I think, in '93 or '94. But I actually, I know Baloney's in here. Baloney's the one that actually introduced me Dazed and Confused. But Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, Slow Ride, School's
Berry Bomb,
Out,
yeah, man.
Stranglehold.
Tush from ZZ Top. I mean, who doesn't love Nazareth? Love Hurts.
Oh,
Stranglehold, Fox on the Run, Tuesday's Gone, Highway Star by Deep Purple, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss, Paranoid. I was going through this and just looking at the lineup
now,
of,
when did you say you saw the movie the first time?
in high school. So that was like I think I was a sophomore, so I was like back in '99. I watched the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, everything. I mean, if you didn't watch them, if you haven't watched the movie, do yourself a favor and go watch it, because I mean, these songs and everything just goes along with it, and just everything about the '70s life and all that. I mean, it was just. I mean, I love it, and I love a lot of these bands as well too. I mean, I love Foghat. I love Nazareth. I love Leonard Skinner. Deep Purple's a fucking killer band as well too. Black Sabbath. Who doesn't love Black Sabbath?
Oh,
And Kiss as well too, man. So I mean, a lot of this stuff. I mean, it just. I told you guys before pre-show is that I was going through my notes. I just didn't want to say, oh, hey, I want to pick Dazed and Confused because it has a lot of good bands. I wanted to literally go down the line exactly what was on that list, just like how we were just mentioning on the other ones. And this is a hell of a lineup. I mean, just a lot of good bands in it. So it was a very tough one, because I have 2 other ones that I was actually 3 other ones that I was very strongly considering, but I have to go with Dazed and Confused.
That soundtrack did so well. It probably did quite a bit better than the movie did. The movie's great. I'm not joking about the movie, but that they actually released a second soundtrack, and it wasn't even songs that were in the movie. It was like more Dazed and Confused. And I remember it had like because the original cover art was the the poster for the movie. They redid the poster, but just in a different color.
Yeah. Oh,
so yeah, they did
remember
a second soundtrack, just because that. I feel like that era of music was very underrated. And there was so much nostalgia at that point that brought it back.
I mean, as soon as I was able to get CDs right around 97, 98 in high school, I mean, this was one of the first ones. I mean, introduction to all these bands are pretty much on this CD, like you said. I mean, Paranoid is pretty much everyone's first Sabbath song that they ever hear. I mean, and for me, it's an introduction right off of. I could still listen to Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, man. Every single
And I'll,
I
and
come out of the I come out of the bullpen at a Sox game of rock and roll hoochie coo, and it could work, man.
and I'll say something too is that because it wasn't on the album, but "Sweet Emotion" was the first thing that came on when that car was driving on that parking lot, and that was in an you know I couldn't mention because it was in the soundtrack, but that's a killer song as well too. So I know there was a lot of songs that I guess they couldn't license or whatever, but I mean just the beginning to end, this I just absolutely love the movie, and this obviously I love the soundtrack. So this definitely has to go my number one. But it was a slight edge. I still have these other ones, and I might have to use it for my wild card one coming up here.
I know.
Uh-oh.
Days Confused, though, man, that was a good pick. That was definitely in my top ones to consider.
Right on. All right, dude. What are you gonna go with number 4 overall?
What am I going to go with number 4 overall? Okay, I guess.
Southside Bum's turn.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Steak draft, brother.
Sorry about that.
Snake draft.
This is even better. I
Okay.
like this.
All right. Well, I guess
Awesome.
you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
All
go
right.
with. I'm gonna go with musicals here. This was another one that was tough as well too because I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with this, but this is more of a I would say more recent. I should have wrote down exactly when it actually came out, but um, I watched this with my daughter, and my daughter loves this movie. And I just the first time I watched the movie, and I was just like listening, I was like, I didn't even know this was an actual musical. And I'm just gonna say as well too, I didn't know Hugh Jackman could sing. It's The Greatest Showman.
Okay.
I was really surprised by him singing all this stuff, and they had a really good cast as well too. That was in it that I didn't even know that they knew how to sing as well too. But there was just a lot of songs that were in that movie, and the movie is really good too. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but it definitely shocked me. Like I said, I could have gone different routes on this because I've definitely seen different musicals, old and new, but that one just kind of took me by surprise. And I mean, I can name the songs, but I don't know if anybody would notice, what it is in the, because I don't know if anybody saw it, but
I went to
other than Roxy, because I know Roxy for sure knows what I'm talking about here.
I
But,
went to see my nephew's chorus at his school, and they did like 3 songs from The Greatest Showman.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was good. They were good. Yeah.
I mean, he can sing. He can do
Well,
a lot
yeah,
of different things. That's what makes him, a great talent, I think.
Yes, Pete.
He's a
Wolverine can
triple
sing.
threat, as Dr. Evil would say.
He is.
Yeah. Yes.
He is definitely a swordfish.
Watch it. It's definitely beginning to end. It's an interesting story. I think it's actually about Ringling Brothers. How they pretty much got started. And just like basically like the circus and whatnot, and quote unquote freaks that they used, or if you want to call it that. I don't want to try to be politically incorrect here, but yeah, I mean the whole movie was just a great story. Like I said, the musical just really took it up a notch as well too. And like I said, I had no idea Hugh Jackman knew how to sing like that, and I'm like, wow, Wolverine could definitely sing.
That's true.
Yeah. Did you see Les Mis?
I didn't. I heard that's good too.
He's fantastic in that. Absolutely fantastic. I don't like to give away other answers, but that one, yeah, Hugh Jackman is awesome in that. Everybody's great in that movie. Right on. So let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and take who I was gonna take it to here. I don't think Tony's gonna take it, but I'm gonna just kind of get ahead of it. I am a notorious junkie of all things grunge. I think you guys know where I'm going with this route here. I'm gonna go with the Singles soundtrack as my my studio movie. It's just a banger, man. It's got everything on there. It's got a little bit of Alice in Chains. It's got a lot of Pearl Jam. That Chris Cornell Seasons, Chris Cornell, that song is phenomenal. Then you got Mother Love Bone, which obviously Pearl Jam before Eddie Vedder, basically. That song's great. Crown of Thorns. There's a Smashing Pumpkins song. Drown is on there. There's some Jimi Hendrix, some Screaming Trees, It's just a little sprinkle of everything. Seattle. I almost said St. Louis for some reason. Seattle. And yeah, I'm going with that one. I feel like it kind of defines my teenage years. I like the movie. I don't love the movie, but I love the soundtrack. So it's one of those where the
Awesome soundtrack.
far
Yeah.
outweighs. Yeah, and
Definitely a lot of good bands there.
It was my introduction to Alice in Chains. I mean, it was the first time I heard him was that sound and that soundtrack. Do you like the movie? I like the pause. That's the best.
It's not a bad movie. There's some scenes. Matt Dillon's hilarious in it. Bridget Fonda's really, those two together are pretty great on camera. And then like the cameos, like the Eddie Vedder cameo, the whole band actually. But like there's just random scenes where they're like hanging out outside and like they're playing music in the car and the windows are breaking. And just Chris Cornell walks out there and is just standing there. Like it's just it's fun. It's fun. You're like, but yeah, it's a fun movie. You got the woman that keeps doing like date videos and stuff. Like, yeah, it's a movie, but yeah, the soundtrack just it's my favorite. I actually had two other ones in front of it coming into this morning, but I listened to it again. I'm like, I gotta go singles. So one was The Crow.
I mean that Paul Westerberg song on there is really good too.
Couple of them on there that are really good. Yeah.
I mean, awesome all around. That's a great soundtrack.
All right, Mister.
All right, let's see. Where do I want to go here? Okay, I'll do my musical right now. I'm gonna go with Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Why am I going this route? I don't know. I'm not a huge musical person in any way, shape, or form. I do like comedy, and I think these songs in this movie, like Let's Duet, DUET, and Walk Hard, and there's just a whole lot of other good ones.
Fun. I like it. I didn't even consider that one. That's good.
When you talked about picking a musical, I mean, I could pick something, of course, but I was trying to think outside of the box on this one. And going that you guys are throwing hard fastballs here, I might as well get some softballs out of the way here and throw. But I think it's a good one.
Yeah, I love the. I don't even know if it's actually on the soundtrack, but when he sings the Bob Dylan song, basically.
Oh yeah. I like the way the movie is actually the way it's actually told in a pretty good way, compared to actually a lot of movies that are still made like what's that, like the Bohemian Rhapsody and stuff like that. And it's also what's his name's son who directed it, Lawrence Kasdan, writer of Star Wars fame. So also kind of a connection between those two, but just loaded with a lot of humor and fun.
Right on. I'll go ahead real quick and read the lyrics from the Bob Dylan song.
Please do.
Mailboxes drip like lampposts in the twisted birth canal of the Colosseum. Rim job fairy teapots mask the temper tantrum. Oh, say, can you see him? Stuffed cabbage is the darling of the laundromat. Oh my lord!
Would have been a lot of fun to be us being able to write some of those.
Just like watch that be like performed. Like, how do you not lose your mind?
It's tough. I mean, it's really tough.
Not an easy process, I'm gonna assume.
But you also say that John C. Reilly performed and sang all those songs too, which well, credit to him. Also credit that it looks like I'm looking at now, he wrote a lot of the songs too. So it wasn't like he just stepped in. He was definitely awesome.
Yeah. He's one of those underrated guys. I think he'll be one of those actors that ends up going into like serious drama more and really, really, really just is incredible.
Yeah.
Watch it happen. So that's how it works. You can get the comedy done. You can do anything you want.
All right. So I guess it's back to my turn again.
Yes, sir.
For my Disney soundtrack, another one I had to think outside of the box because this isn't my specialty. I went with the Tron Legacy soundtrack. I think it's a pretty awesome score. Daft Punk pretty much does the whole entire, well, they do the whole entire soundtrack that I'm talking about. And, you know, the movie itself, I think it adds to the whole entire movie. But
Okay.
I think that is I'm not, like I said, you know what? Can I, is there a time? Can I change this? I want to change out of this.
you want a mulligan?
I want a mulligan.
You okay, Southside?
You know,
Bub?
I want to go a little bit fun and think. I want to go a classic Disney soundtrack. You know what? I don't want to go Tron Legacy. I want to go the Little Mermaid soundtrack is what I want to do.
Oh,
And the reason
okay.
I want to go to the Little Mermaid soundtrack is because, frankly, I've only listened to that soundtrack that I just brought up like 4 times in my life. But the Little Mermaid, these songs, even though I never owned this soundtrack, my little sisters played this soundtrack. These songs, man, they've lasted over the test of time. Under the Sea. I mean, come on, that's a barnyard classic right
girl.
there. I mean, Beatles who compared to some of these songs on this album here, man.
I have your 5th round pick already selected, by the way. Before the show started, Sam Reeves contacted me and asked that I pick Geely for you. So
yeah, that will be in the 6th round after we get off of the air. That people won't hear. I'd pick.
Judging by the time we're making, I think that we're gonna probably have a 6th round. So,
but Little Mermaid is my pick. You know, I have to pick classic Disney. I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's probably gonna like with the live movie coming up. It's probably gonna come back up, or it's gonna like hit number 1 again.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't even know if it hit number 1, but for sure, I think a lot of I mean, we're close. I would say almost close to the same age. So back in whenever it came out, I mean, I think it was pretty popular then, and when it comes out to like a new generation of kids, I think it's definitely hit just as much as it did back in when it first came out.
It's definitely quite versatile.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's loaded with a lot of different stuff. Little crap guy singing.
It was like Little Mermaid was in that window though, where like when that came out, I was a little older, so I wasn't into like Disney movies anymore. So I mean, like going back to it, like this is pretty good music.
I mean, it's before Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, right? It's before they start really taking off the soundtracks.
Lion King, all that stuff.
The Lion King.
Yep.
So it's almost as like, I think like the beginning of those soundtracks kind of like pick it going.
And we both feel confident talking about Disney movie soundtracks without giving out picks because him and I already picked our Disney movies. So
there you go.
Southside Bum's like, Lion King, huh? Okay, I'm gonna go musical this time around, and this is kind of like my sneaky one. I was like, is this a musical? And I asked the Tainted Glove group, our DM thread, and they're like, yes, this is a musical. So I'm going. I have a question to ask. Have I told you about Minnie the Moocher?
Yeah, it is. It is definitely a musical. I would put it definitely as a musical.
Yeah, I mean, it defines a musical. Yeah, that is the best musical soundtrack in the history of the world, in my mind. You got a little, yeah. Oh, it's a terrific movie. You got I mean, there's Aretha. You got Ray Charles on it, and it's all fun music. It's not there's no there's no sap to it. It's just very, very fun, very high pace, high rhythm. You got Rawhide in there.
That whole scene where they go down to Kokomo, Indiana, man. You could make a whole movie out of just that whole part.
Do you know Minnie the Moocher? I know what was he? I know a prostitute named Minnie Mazzola.
I think that probably had to be one of my favorite parts of the movie, just because the whole crowd was into it. And I just like the back and forth of it. I think that was just probably, obviously, everybody's going to pick like the car scene or any other ones too, because they had great different scenes in that movie. But I think that one with, Minnie the Moocher, when they were singing that, I think the crowd interaction was great.
They're sneaking in the building like real.
Yeah, exactly. While that was
playing.
Yeah.
I mean, but Loaded. I mean, Ray Charles, great. Aretha Franklin, great. I mean,
And then I mean, like, and even the band, like Matt Guitar Murphy and all those guys are
Donald Duck
Donald
Dunn,
Duck Dunn, yeah.
Steve Cropper, you go Steve Jordan, you go through the whole band. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable how many rock stars in terms of that they got in there. Oh, James Brown, forgot about that. Yeah,
James Brown was really good in that.
yeah, shit.
But that's a definitely though a musical. I mean, it's more of a musical than I would just say. I mean, it's comedy, but it's definitely musical.
Cool. All right, Southside Bum, what do we got?
You guys pretty much ruined my Disney one because I was gonna pick it regardless, whatever you guys said. But I am going to go with the Lion King because I was yeah I even told Peter some of my things before I went on this show, and I was kind of running down some of this stuff, and the Lion King, the very first part of the Lion King, when they're picking up the lion and pretty much it's the circle of life and whatnot. I mean, it's just everything is about it is just mesmerizing and just like wow, that you start the movie like that, and you want to know more about what's going on, what's going to happen, what's the story's about, and a lot of the stuff like I just can't wait to be king, be prepared. Mustafa was a damn hell of a brother. Not Mustafa. Was it Mustafa? Yeah, that was the bad guy, right? Hakuna Matata. Can you feel the love tonight? I mean, just everything about it, the story, the soundtrack. Elton John was part of it as well too. So I mean, just that alone, I mean, gives you brownie points with this movie. But just everything in general, I just think that it was just, and I could have went different routes. I mean, there's other good like
there's a
Disney
ton of
soundtracks.
Disney. Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's hard when we were talking.
I actually may end up taking another one. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like going through a lot of this Disney stuff, you're going through everything and you're just like, man, there's a lot of bangers on a lot of these movies that you're like, fuck, I can't remember. Like, I'm not going to name them right now, but I'm just like, holy shit, they actually did really good with a lot of these movies.
Right on. Yeah, I was talking to my sister a little while ago, before the show, and she mentioned The Lion King, and she pointed out, and this is true. People our age, late 30s, early 40s, boys, really cling to The Lion King because it was the first Disney cartoon that you could say like, oh, this is pretty much for boys. You know what I mean? Like, it was revolved around more of a masculine. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
Where are you going with this?
Still new to this, okay? Give me a break.
Doing a great job.
This is live, by the way.
Why am I here?
Yeah.
What happened?
What are we doing?
Lion King's a good pick though. That Elton John song, man. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it. What about the remake? You a fan of the remake, Lion King remake?
I didn't see the remake, and you know what? I have a thing for that as well too, as far as like remakes. A lot of times, a lot of remakes just doesn't work. There's times that movies it does work, but I couldn't see it. I and it just I just love originals. I think sometimes when you have classics like that, you shouldn't be touching them. Like you just Brian, you just threw out one of them, the Blues Brothers. You can't do that movie ever again. Even if you wanted to, they try to do I know it was part of the series, but they tried to do the Blues Brothers 2000. That was probably one of the worst movies ever. So I mean, yeah. So they were, sometimes it's best just to keep movies the way they are. Classics, just don't touch them. Sometimes it will work, but other times just leave it alone. It's just like I said, it won't work.
Right on. I agree. Start making stuff original. Quit it with the fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You got another one here, Mike. Huh? Yeah.
All right. Fuck. I probably should have picked this one first. Now that I'm thinking about it, because there's a lot of ones that I was looking at, and I know we were talking in pre-shows. Like, All right, so is everyone gonna pick John Williams? Soundtrack
no, it's
over here?
which one?
Yeah, which one? Yeah, which one? Because the guy was like the king of the scores here. But man, this one's tough. You know what? I'm gonna come back to this one. I'm gonna pick my wild card right now.
Okay, it's a good time.
Yeah, and fuck, this is hard between these two, but I'm gonna have to go Forrest Gump.
That's good.
Forrest Gump. I mean, I don't know if you guys. Forrest Gump came out with a 2-disc set.
Right,
So
there's
there was a lot-
78
there was a-
songs on it.
Yeah, there was like
I had that right when it came out.
Yeah, it was a total of 34 songs. But just to name some of the stuff that was on there, Hound Dog, Elvis, Let's Get Together by the Youngbloods, Turn, 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 The Birds, Everybody Talking, Rebel, which was the one that when Forrest Gump was running from the car in the beginning. Fortunate Son, CCR, man. I mean, that army scene and all that, everything about that movie, just everything.
One of my favorite songs ever is on that soundtrack, "Land of a Thousand Dances," Wilson Pickett.
Oh,
yeah.
2, 3.
So good.
Mamas and the Papas, California Dreaming for what it's worth, Buffalo Springfield, Sweet Home Alabama, It Keeps You Running by the Doobie Brothers. Man, I could go on and on.
Everybody
Break On Through to the
Talking.
Other Side by the Doors, Mrs. Robinson, Simon and Garfunkel, Go Your Own Way, Fleetwood Mac, On the Road Again, Willie Nelson, Against the Wind, Bob Seger. I mean, just the list keeps on. I'm not even naming everything.
The
on
last
this
4
soundtrack.
weeks, that movie's been on Showtime every single day, and I've caught a little bit of it every day. And honestly, for this show, man, that movie is just loaded with songs, and the way they're set to the scenes is just really incredible.
I'm trying to think of how old I was when that came out, but my parents had a summer house in northern Wisconsin, and there really wasn't much to do except go fishing or go to the movies. And the movie theater that summer they just refused to switch what movie, because Forrest Gump did so well at the box office that I think I saw Forrest Gump like 6 or 7 times that summer. I love that movie. It's perfect. The fact that it spreads over so many decades too of his story is really defined well with the soundtrack in that. Because there's a little sprinkle of pretty much all the decades.
I will say another thing too, that I was surprised it wasn't on the soundtrack on both discs, but I think, like, again, it might be some sort of thing with licensing.
Mhm.
But All Along the Watchtower was on there too, Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised I wasn't on there, but like I said,
That
there
was the
must be
scene I
something-
actually watched today when he came in and punched the guy, and that scene's that's
Right. I mean, Jimmy, who doesn't love Jimi Hendrix? But I mean, just
Jimmy's great,
everything
man.
about
Yeah,
that.
there definitely had to have been some type of
Yeah.
copyright or just just getting the rights to that song for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of Seeger on there, Doobie Brothers, Skinnerd, even Randy Newman's on there. Come on.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't even name. I'm just naming half of what was on that soundtrack, because it was, like I said, it was a 2-disc set. I couldn't name everything, but those were pretty much the top ones that I love, that just made that movie as well too. The story, and that's good. That's another thing too. Like, I think you kind of brought it up. Like, Brian, you were saying that there was a movie that you didn't like the movie, but you liked the soundtrack more, right?
The Crow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there's
and singles.
and that's the hard part, is that you're trying to make sure that the music and the movie align together and make it work. And like I said, a lot of the ones that I love, everything like just click, everything that works, the scenes, what's going on in the story, just everything about it, just breaking everything down. I think that's what makes the Forrest Gump soundtrack just work with the movie.
Okay. Yeah, that's when we were, I don't know if you were in and out of the playback the other night, but I asked everybody what their pick was, and did you see how many people said Forrest Gump? It's like 45% or something like that. So yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with my wild card as well here. Looks like we're brushing the scores aside until the last round probably here. Yeah, I mean it's one of my favorite movies of all time, but also just absolutely wonderful soundtrack. I love Wes Anderson movies. And it honestly doesn't matter which movie you pick for soundtracks. I actually had a different Wes Anderson movie in mind. And then when I went back and listened to them again, no, I'm not drafting track and field again. Son of a. Okay. I'm gonna go with Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, solid
Oh.
soundtrack.
There you go.
I mean,
Yeah,
really,
I'm gonna
really
load
good
up.
soundtrack.
I'm gonna load up the. Oh no, I think I spelled it wrong. Yeah. It's got another one that just kind of have a sprinkling of everything. Wes Anderson does a really good job of setting the tone of the era that he's trying to like kind of pick at with the music. It's very like very 70s and 80s underground. But that's kind of what Wes Anderson movies are almost all set in modern time, but everything looks old and antique-y.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of punk rock. Like he was always a little punk rock, and that's kind of where I'm going with this one. So and I'm gonna say as well that I was about to say a different movie altogether, but I changed my mind as I was talking. So I had a couple. But yeah, all the like all the instrumentals from Mark Mothersbaugh throughout are just wonderful. But then you got a lot of Velvet Underground, Nico. There's some Dylan in there. There's some Ramones, Elliott Smith. The scene where he tries to kill himself in the bathroom
Oh,
with
yeah,
Needle and
that is,
Hay playing. Like, yeah, it's the most perfect thing I've ever seen in my life. But why does he
Nick-
stare at himself and say he's going to kill himself tomorrow, and then he cuts his wrists?
that Nick Drake song on their Fly.
Yep.
I'm a really big fan of that
Nick
track.
Drake, another guy that's just so underrated. Everything
Very
he did
underrated.
is fucking
Pink
great.
Moon. Oh yeah, really good.
Yep.
That
So
he's really good. I mean, definitely. I mean, but when you brought up what's his name, Mark Mothersbaugh, you got Danny Elfman, Oingo Boingo, Devo, Mark Mothersbaugh. These guys are awesome that they were been able to take their careers and expand them like that.
it's truly talented people.
Yeah.
I was so sad. I got COVID and couldn't go to Riot Fest last year or it was the year before because Devo played, and I really wanted to see him.
That was
My brother-in-law is telling me how good they were the other day on Christmas Eve. I was like, God damn it.
damn it.
Yeah, and like I said, Wes Anderson movies. Jackie, I'll agree with you. Life Aquatic's really good, but I would say that Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums are the two best Wes Anderson soundtracks. But again, there's no wrong answer, honestly.
Which is the Wes Anderson movie that has Van Morrison's Everyone in it? Everyone.
I think that's Rushmore.
I think isn't that Rushmore probably. I mean, even Bottle Rocket has got some good musical scenes
Such
too.
an underrated movie too.
Very, very underrated. I mean, but he does good with the music. He's another one who definitely does really good with the music.
Yeah, and he sticks to Mark Mothersbaugh as well, to do all the instrumental kind of score tone type of parts to it.
Definitely works. Definitely.
Thanks for the reminder, Roxy. So
All right.
Kick a man while he's down.
Okay, go ahead and pick, and then we're going to talk real quick after this pick before we do the last round because I think we're gonna add another round because we're only at like 45 minutes right now. So
I'm game. All right, so here we go. You picked a movie in 1994, Forrest Gump, which is an amazing movie. It won Best Picture. It's an amazing soundtrack. But there's another movie that was up for Best Picture that year that didn't win, and I think it's a better movie, and I think it's a better soundtrack. It's Pulp Fiction.
yep, that's the one I was sitting there and about to pick, and then I picked Royal Tenenbaums.
I don't argue with that one at all.
I know. I knew you. I
I
watched you, but I knew you wouldn't argue with it. And I love honestly, I saw someone in the comments go, Forrest Gump's great, and I almost switched to Forrest Gump. So I've been back and forth the whole entire evening. But again, a soundtrack that's just mixed with so much different stuff. And honestly, I like the soundtrack because it was when it came out, it was like the little clips from the movie mixed in before the
Yeah,
song.
I love that.
It makes it a very original soundtrack.
Yep.
And then you got, I mean, one of the cover on the cover song of the on the album is a Chicago band, which we got to throw out to Urge Overkill for doing the Neil Diamond.
Yep.
Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. But that's like the least favorite song on the album for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
Lonesome Town by Ricky Nelson's great. Let's Stay Together, I've probably listened to a million times.
That was my wedding song. Let's Stay Together. Yeah.
Awesome.
That was our first dance song at our wedding.
Jungle
awesome.
Boogie, man. My favorite song that I like a lot is Flowers on the Wall. I've sing that song so many
Great
times
song.
at karaoke.
My dad loves that song.
I'll never forget, like at my a wife's family party, they set up the karaoke machine. I'm like, I'm gonna do Flowers on the Wall, and then I start singing the lyrics, and they're like staring at me, and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't really about like stuff I should be singing from. But a classic, Son of a Preacher Man, Dusty Springfield.
Even the like the surf music is phenomenal.
Yeah, Surfrider.
Dick Dale. That
song's
awesome.
really good. The Tornadoes, Bustin' Surfboards is really good. When he goes into the basement, Comanche by the Rebels, do 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 with the Gimp. I mean, that song. I mean, never again will you ever hear a song and not know what that's going to be going on. But definitely, I like that one a lot.
Cool.
All these songs, I mean,
I was definitely like, I was torn between that because when I was like looking through like my I have a bunch of like studio soundtracks, and that I was like looking at Pulp Fiction. I'm like, man, like just
Banger,
sometimes you forget, like just like when you're looking at movies, it's like how much like I remember Pulp Fiction had a really good like soundtrack, but looking at it again, it definitely had a bunch of bangers on there for sure.
100%.
I mean, it just definitely loaded.
Right on. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna add. So let's continue with our format. Let's finish the 4 requirements through this round, and then the 6th round we'll just do another wild card.
Sounds good.
Whatever you want.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
All right. So should I go?
Yeah. Go for it.
All right. So this is going to be my movie score. Okay. And I'm in Yumper, I tried my best to pick which John Carpenter soundtrack was I going to go for. And if I really could, I would really pick Big Trouble in Little China. But I'm going to pick Halloween.
Yeah.
Because of its iconic from the front to the back standard. I mean, it's been in 12 movies now, and it's still the same. Even in the new ones, they're taking still the same stuff from the original. I mean, John Carpenter, wouldn't you say that's a top horror soundtrack of all time? I mean by score.
Just wait till the next pick, my friend.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm hoping you're going to go with Return of the Living Dead, the punk soundtrack. No,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
I really wanted to throw that one somewhere in here, but I don't think I will.
Here's what I say. So Halloween's 3rd on my list, and I have two John Williams movies in front of it. I'm not going to pick a John Williams movie.
I wasn't either. I was actually going to pick this poster behind me, Jaws, but I just thought it would be.
I assume we're going to talk about John Williams anyway as we kind of go through this. But yeah,
you know what we should do? I don't mean to cut you off. After we're done with the rounds, we should probably throw some honorable mentions on there as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. I have like I said before the show, while we were talking backstage, I had a lot. I have a pretty lengthy list of a lot of stuff. I also have a list that we were going to play a little trivia towards the end too with highest selling soundtracks of all time. So cool. Okay, I'm going to go with my next pick. It's an older movie. So when you think of a horror movie and you think of someone getting stabbed, maybe in the shower.
Oh, I mean that's
Oh,
that's
okay.
really
That's
good.
mute. That's the score right there.
That is. That's better than Halloween.
But
That
the
is, yeah.
music, the music that accompanies that whole film is pretty fantastic.
It is.
It's so good. Even Busta Rhymes did a song with it. You know what I mean? Like, right? That was my ringtone on my phone for like a decade. But yeah, I'm going Psycho. Just yeah. It again. That's another one that kind of sets the tone for the whole movie. It's creepy in some sections and elegant and beautiful in other sections. So like Hitchcock's a fucking maniac, um, but yeah, I thought that was apt here. I probably would have taken Halloween if you hadn't, but um,
Like
but yeah, I think Psycho deserves a very large um very large piece of the pie on that one because I don't think we would have had um
Halloween we wouldn't have had probably a lot of different
right,
things.
exactly. Because yeah, people didn't think that. I mean, at that time, people didn't think those kind of movies were something that was appealing. But again, you know, but all right, Psycho. What do you got? What do you got here, Southside Bum?
All right. Well, I'm definitely. I don't think people are gonna like. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But it's a personal favorite of mine, and this is hard too because there was a lot of them. Like I said, we talked about John Williams. There's some other ones that I love too that I'm not gonna name just yet. Um, but I gotta go with my guy, man. I gotta go with Nine Inch Nails, my guy himself, Trent Reznor. I gotta go with The Social Network on this one.
Ooh,
Good one.
pick.
Yeah, if you've never seen, like I said again, if you've never seen the movie, he killed it in that score. Like everything from like beginning to end, everything just clicked with the movie. Um, the drama about it's just everything. The guy's a genius. First of all, I love Nine Inch Nails. Trent Reznor, he's my guy. I just love him. But when I didn't know up until when they did the Academy Awards that he actually was the one who actually did the score for Social Network. We watched the movie again, and I was just amazed. Just like everything about it, like I said, everything about certain scenes in that movie, it just clicked. He did an excellent job of just pretty much capturing the moments in every single of those scenes. And what I think the anticipation about it as well too when certain scenes were coming up, he just killed it. He definitely did a really good job of it. I actually think he actually won an Academy Award for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm almost certain he did.
Yeah, so
So-
I mean
Tony,
I mean,
do you know if he did?
Yeah, I mean, he was nominated. I'll look into that off the top of my head, but keep going.
yeah, so I mean like I said, I mean, I'm not the only one who thought that he did a really good job. I mean, the Academy Awards, and obviously, Academy Awards, you could either hit or miss, and sometimes they screw up on there. But I mean, just looking at that movie, I love The Social Network as a movie as well too. So I think everything from the movie to the soundtrack, everything was just clicking in all cylinders.
Best original.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
You lost you for a sec there. And again.
I'm losing. Oh,
There you go. You're back.
okay. Oh, we're all.
We
All
can
right,
hear you.
Everybody all good? Raise
I
your
see
hand.
you guys.
Okay,
Hi.
cool. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So what?
Am I going again?
That's my brain thinking of different soundtracks here. I'm shorting out.
Does anybody have another score they want to take, or do you want me to go with the just mention the ones that we didn't pick?
Yeah, I don't have another score.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna pick another one.
Okay. I mean, if you want to talk about the scores, then we could definitely go that route.
So yeah,
if you wanna
let's
go
just
first.
kind of break up the round here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had obviously John Williams. I had Jaws and Star Wars and Jurassic Park. I mean,
Well, hold on. Let me stop you for a second there on the John
Yeah.
Williams one for Star Wars. Which one?
Yeah. all of them.
I have a certain one that I picked, and it's probably the least one that I think everybody hates the most.
Is it the music at the end of Return of the Jedi that the
No,
Ewoks
no,
are
no, no,
playing?
no, no, no,
Okay, that
no,
was so bad
no,
that they took it out when they
no.
re-released it. Okay.
So my I don't mean to cut you off on this, but
No, you're good.
my favorite one out of that whole Star Wars series has to be the one with Duel of Fates. When Darth Maul came out and it was Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn that they were fighting.
That was
That
good
was epic.
drama.
Epic.
I actually in Revenge of the Sith, when they're fighting at the end, when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting at the end, that's a really good part too. But yeah, you can't go wrong with any of them. Anything John Williams did, you can't go wrong with it.
No, John Williams really. I mean, there's nothing he's done that is really bad at all.
Nope. And then you also have the other ones I had were Batman, Danny Elfman. That one's good, and that one dove into cartoons and all kinds of stuff. They use that same opening theme music, whatever you want to call it, throughout all of that. Obviously, Danny Elfman also Beetlejuice is really good score. And then you have The Godfather. Can't go wrong with that. I mean,
that was going to be one. That was another one, top one. Are we going to talk about the other John Williams movie?
Which one?
I can't believe you don't know this.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones?
No, Home Alone.
I mean,
how can we not talk about Home Alone and the drama? Come on, he did that whole thing. I mean, Home Alone's a classic, and the music, I think John Williams can do no wrong. Let's just put it that way.
So it's Joey's birthday, so I'm gonna leave the Ninja Turtles 2 thing up for just a second. I hope you're okay with your face being blocked a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll even go lower.
Yeah, happy birthday,
Ninja rap. And then obviously the star of Ninja Turtles 2, Kevin Nash as Super Shredder. So,
oh, that was my favorite. That was great.
Of course. But okay. So yeah, anything you want for this last round, Southside Bum?
All right. Well, I'm probably gonna go with. Now I know what I'm gonna go with, and it's probably one of my other studio albums, and it's Boogie Nights.
Oh, you took it. No, I've been when he asked me the question earlier about Social Network, I've been thinking, and then you took what I just thought. No, that's good. No, it's a good pick. It's a great pick.
Yeah,
great one.
Boogie. Hey, if you wouldn't pick Pulp Fiction, I probably would have picked it too. So,
hey, got good taste, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, but Boogie Nights.
I think I picked the right group of guys to do this show because we all like kind of stealing each other a little bit here.
Yes, I like.
Yeah, but if you've never seen the movie, again, it's a definitely must watch. I know there's some people that don't like Mark Wahlberg movies.
Who doesn't like this movie? You send them our way. Me and you, we'll talk to them and get them to watch this movie.
I'm not. I'm just. I've heard things. But yeah, great cast. But the music, let me run it down. Best of My Love by The Emotions, Jungle Fever, Spill the Wine, Got to Give It Up by Marvin Gaye.
Gotta Give It Up, yeah.
Yeah. Machine Gun by the Commodores, Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Probably the best scene.
I know what you're thinking.
Of that movie is Sister Christian. Sister Christian.
Yeah. With Cosmo blowing off the fireworks.
Yes. So Living Thing by ELO, and then God Only Knows. It's pretty much the
that was
end of the movie.
that was a perfect, and I hate the fucking Beach Boys, but that was a perfect song.
It was a perfect ending.
For that point in that movie. Yes, that's a good.
It was a perfect ending.
Yeah, that's a good soliloquy at the end. You know what I mean?
Got to Give It Up Part 1 by Marvin Gaye really brings it in the movie, and so does Magnet and Steel by Walter Egan. I mean, that's a great.
Another movie that defines an era pretty well. Like they really did a good job. Yeah,
definitely. Now I'm shook for the. Now I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board here. Okay, here we go. That was excellent pick.
I'm gonna go a little off the path a little bit. This is a soundtrack that is primarily the entire soundtrack is all Beatles songs, but there are no Beatles on the soundtrack. I'm going with I Am Sam.
Okay.
Interesting.
Just a really, really, really good soundtrack. Amy Mann starts it off with Two of Us, and that song that's one of my that's my favorite rendition of a Beatles song. You're welcome, Jackie. I know you and I discussed this one the other night. And then Sarah McLachlan does Blackbird, really good. Eddie Vedder, you've got to hide your love away. That's really, really phenomenal. Ben Harper's version of Strawberry Fields I love that guy's voice. And then Mother Nature's Son, Sheryl Crow. Paul Westerberg does Nowhere Man. Let It Be by Nick Cave's really, really, really good. So that whole soundtrack. Oh yeah, Ben Folds. Yep, she's getting mad at me.
Great cover.
It's a good movie. It's a really good movie, and its soundtrack is, and it kind of it ties into the movie because the daughter's real into the Beatles, and she kind of visualizes everything with Beatles lyrics. So, yeah, I thought that one deserved to be discussed.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't pick Yesterday, the 2019 film dealing with the Beatles. Did you ever see that one?
I have not seen that yet, and I've wanted to, but I have not.
It's not terrible, but it's it's not I Am Sam. I mean, that's the one that started. I mean, Across the Universe is okay too, but I Am Sam is really good. Okay, well, I guess here I am, the final pick, and I'm looking through our list here, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing two musical styles that we haven't talked about, which this soundtrack brings both of these styles together, and that's rap and metal coming together for the Judgment Night soundtrack. You got Helmet and House of Pain doing a song together. You got Sonic Youth and Cypress Hill.
That one's great.
Faith No More and Booyah Tribe. That's a pretty good song. Slayer and Ice-T, Mudhoney and Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Slayer and Ice-T together was pretty fun.
I
think that gave him more of a license to do his metal. You know what I mean?
I was really, really upset that this tour stopped before the one that was in Chicago. Helmet played Just Another Victim. That would have been cool to hear.
That would have been cool.
Also really cheesy in high school. We played that song in a band, and it really didn't sound anything like these guys, and I'm embarrassed that I had people come out and try to listen to me. But that being said, you got Pearl Jam and Cypress Hill. I mean, that's a pretty good.
I need to listen to it again. I didn't even. I mean, I considered it on the list, but I haven't listened to it in so long. I need to sit down and just throw it on.
I mean, Living Color, Run DMC. I mean, it's good. I guess it's good because it's before Limp Bizkit. It's before the rap rock really kind of took over. It's actually
but
rappers.
Faith No More was there first. Come on.
I mean, Faith No More. I don't really consider them rapper. I don't put them in that. Cheesy,
I know.
I know that cheesy.
Mike Patton's way too talented for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That you could talk about Mr. Bungle a whole episode too. They're amazing. But again, really good soundtrack.
Well, that was a good one. That's a good way to close it out. I know that our buddy Shankster will be our guy Shankster will be happy because he was asking about it on Twitter earlier.
It was a last minute 3 at the buzzer because Boogie Nights was. I'm like, but even honestly, there's a lot of soundtracks that that didn't get picked.
Yeah,
that are awesome.
That's where we're going next here. So, first I want to read the list real quick of. This is the highest selling soundtracks of all time. Do you guys know what the first one is?
No, not off the top of my head. No.
Anybody in the chat? Don't cheat.
Don't cheat.
Huh. Okay. So with 18 million certified units, The Bodyguard is the highest selling soundtrack of all time.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Number 2, and it's funny. We don't get to one that we drafted until the 4th one. Yep, Jackie. Bodyguard. Yep. Number 2, Saturday Night Fever.
Ooh.
Basically an album that created a genre of music. That's pretty much what it is.
It's gonna be
which I've gone back to recently and revisited, and it's not as bad as it's not that bad.
So none of us should talk to Aloha Mr. Hand for a bit because he's He's going to be very upset with us for not picking Purple Rain.
Oh man!
He told
Can
me
I go
before.
back and change something? Can I change little? Can I change Little Mermaid to Purple Rain? Did he do Disney?
I
Was
have
Purple
another.
Rain
I have
Disney?
another Prince soundtrack. Maybe he might like it.
What do you got?
Bridge?
But Prince actually did the whole soundtrack for the
Batman,
original
yeah.
Batman, the first Batman
Yeah.
that came
Well,
out.
Danny Elfman did the score, and then Prince did a bunch of the
music on it, yeah.
He did. Oh yes, guys, we finally made it. We
Yes.
finally made it. We got 69mega.com.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. Okay, Shakespeare. This one was fantastic. This was actually on my list.
Great.
But my problem with Rocky 4 soundtrack is it has a lot of Rocky 3 and Rocky 2 music in it. They kind of just jumble it all together.
No, hold on. Rocky 4 has a lot of different.
No. I'm saying the actual soundtrack that they released for the movie has.
Oh, okay.
Like
Gotcha,
Eye of the
gotcha.
Tiger on it, and like things that weren't even in Rocky 4.
Yeah.
We got it. They got to make a soundtrack with just every montage in every movie, like the Rocky 4 montage. Like earlier today, I was watching Better Off Dead. They're the fixing the car montage, like just the songs, and just put them all together.
Such a good movie.
Better off dead than to be without. I mean, there's a lot of those songs on those 80s. On those 80s, those 80s movies are great.
Oh yeah. Music montages make the world go around, I think.
Sadly, I listened to Big Bad Wolf by Teen Wolf, the song that he's dancing to, like 3 times before coming on here tonight because I like that song. But those 80s songs that just slipped in there and there wasn't really a soundtrack for them. Like take for instance, John Hughes soundtracks.
Yeah.
I mean, Ferris Bueller didn't release a soundtrack when it came out. There was no soundtrack released at the store for Ferris Bueller. You had to go out and buy all the songs individually. Now you could get an album and pay a lot for it, but it wasn't like Breakfast Club.
So Breakfast Club I listened to the other night, and I was gonna put it on my list, but then there's a lot of garbage on that soundtrack. There's some fucking bangers. Obviously, Simple Minds is Jesus. That's a classic, but there's some rough ones on there. The only one I would think is Pretty in Pink is a great soundtrack.
Oh, yes.
There's a couple in there that I just throw it away, but yeah, my sister and I were talking about that. It's like perfect example of a bad movie that has a really good soundtrack.
Even like it didn't.
And
really
yes,
have a
I called Pretty in
soundtrack.
Pink bad. Fight me.
There's songs in 16 Candles that are good. I see that. I wanted to pick. I saw down here. He said Beavis and Butthead Do America soundtrack, which is great.
That's actually a really good one. Yeah.
But do you remember the Beavis and Butthead Experience album, the one that they did? Now that album had Nirvana.
The one with Cher, right? No,
Cher.
that was the one with Cher. Okay.
But I mean, it had Nirvana. It had Red Hot Chili Peppers. It had Megadeth. I mean, it had
original stuff. And it wasn't like something that was already released too.
No.
They actually did. Yeah.
Primus did Poetry and Prose. It's a pretty good song off that. But that was a lot too. Those spin-off, like X-Files did that too, like the spin-off soundtracks that weren't really like a TV soundtrack, but like maybe these songs were in episodes.
Right. Right on.
I would say
let's go
getting back to the whole Disney ones. I love the Moana soundtrack.
It is. It's
Again,
really good.
Again, my daughter, I have a 5-year-old daughter, and when those movies came out, I mean, I watched it with her, and I'm like, wow, these songs are actually pretty damn good. Frozen as well too. Frozen, the first and second one, had a lot of good music as well too. So I mean, just Disney had a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I think we only touched a little bit of the base of it.
Oh yeah,
Just a little.
we could have done. I could do I might down the line. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna get to the point where I'm gonna need to start not recycling stuff, but obviously, I'm nowhere near that. But but yeah, that's definitely that could be an entire episode. Is Disney soundtracks or Disney movies in general. But real quick, rest of the list here. Purple Rain was third. Forrest Gump was fourth. So Forrest Gump. Then Dirty Dancing. Titanic.
Ooh.
Lion King. Footloose, very good one. Top Gun. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Grease. Waiting to Exhale.
that for when it came out. I remember it was a big one.
Little Mermaid, Pure Country. Okay.
George Strait.
Flashdance. And then you got the Space Jam with the Space Jam.
Mm,
Big Chill.
that's a good soundtrack.
It is. City of Angels, probably just because of that one. It's like there's isn't there a Alanis Morissette song on there too? I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. Okay. Jazz singer.
Oh yeah.
Evita was the last one, so that's the top 20.
Oh yeah. Those are some. I mean, a lot of those soundtracks only had like one really huge hit, like the Titanic soundtrack.
Right.
It didn't have like 3 or 4.
Well,
or
it's
5.
like the Bodyguard. The Bodyguard didn't have any other hits. Did it? I don't.
And I hate to sound like I know my Bodyguard back and forth, but they did have that other song on the album. I'm every woman. It's only me. I mean, that was at least a hit. I mean, Titanic. There wasn't any. I mean, it's just that one song, and I have to look at the soundtrack. Is there any other songs on there besides?
I think it's just that song and then the score for it.
So it's kind of like what we were talking about Van Halen earlier, where it's
Right.
just like the song and then surrounded by that.
Yep.
I
Airheads
wanted
is
to
a
put
good
Detroit Rock
soundtrack.
City in there as well too. I don't know if you guys ever saw Detroit Rock City.
Oh,
That's
that's
got a
a
lot of
great.
good. Yeah, that guy's
That's a
got
great soundtrack.
yeah, Detroit Rock
So-
City. Some other ones I could think of as now. What's
Goodfellas is a great soundtrack.
Goodfellas, yes.
Goodfellas,
Bronxdale,
really good.
Bronxdale as well too. Bronxdale had a really good
Yep.
Casino. Now I'm starting to think everything's coming back to me now.
Well, that's the thing about these soundtracks too. Was when you were saying pick a soundtrack, was it like all like picking one with all original songs, or picking one like a Boogie Nights that has all awesome older songs, which is Oh Brother Where Art Thou is really awesome soundtrack.
This is one I played a lot as a kid.
Oh yeah,
Really, that one Chili Pepper song, "Sick of Nico." That's a good one. And it's got "Feed My Frankenstein," some Cooper in there, some
it was my introduction to Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I sat there and played
Foxy.
Foxy Lady over and over and over. What else is
Juno
on?
is a really good soundtrack.
Juno is a great soundtrack.
Yeah, with the Adam Green and Moldy Peaches.
Garden State,
Garden
Pretty good.
State's a great one. Yes.
pretty good soundtrack.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Basically, the
that's good
mixtape
too.
for Guardians of the Galaxy is phenomenal.
I see she said down here, Rockstar. What's that one? You ever see that one with Tom Cruise? It's a musical. He's like the rock star. Rockstar. Oh, it came out I think it's called Rock. It came out like within the last 6-7 years. He's the rock singer, and he's the whole thing is like him at the club. Oh, I'll have to. Oh, now Valley Girl's a good one too. Now I'm upset because I can't think of this. movie.
What about the original Mortal Kombat?
That's a good soundtrack too.
I would consider that a score.
Yeah.
The actual soundtrack with like KMF, like KMFDM.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
KMFDM,
The
no,
actual,
they actually had like a bunch of like I think it would be more of a compilation
Yeah.
because they had Fear Factory in there, like you said,
Fear
KMFDM.
Factory.
Sister Machine Gun as well too.
Yep.
There was
I don't know.
Gravity Kills. I thought that it went well with the movie. And a fun fact is my uncle actually knows the people who actually created Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Yes.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot
That's
of
really
good
cool,
ones
yeah.
on this one.
Wow.
Gravity Kills, Typo Negatives even on the soundtrack. Pretty good
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. I stand corrected then. What else do I have? I think my list is pretty much picked at this point. Empire Records is a good one.
Well, that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
When Guar shows up in the movie.
You play a
I
mean
think
guitar.
I think somebody did put out Can't Hardly Wait as well too, which was actually it's part of the cover. That was a good movie, and that had a good soundtrack as well too.
Yeah, what tipped you off?
There's some good stuff on Dumb and Dumber. There's, Cable Guy. I mean, there's a lot of soundtracks in the 90s. I mean, it doesn't seem like they do soundtracks like this as much as
No,
they used to.
they don't release albums as much as they. I mean,
No,
it's
they
just
don't. That's
it's just
true.
not.
That's
It's
true,
just thrown
too.
out there. I had a bunch of musicals still here.
Okay,
Let me see here. Wizard of Oz,
that's a good one.
West Side Story, obviously.
Mhm.
Les Mis. We talked about Les Mis for a minute there. You guys, if you haven't seen the movie, the one that came out a few years ago with Hugh Jackman and well, it's been more than a few, probably about 10 years, but that movie's and Russell Crowe, it's phenomenal. Willy Wonka, the first one, not the
original one.
Yeah, not the Johnny Depp one. That one, Oompa Loompa, like all that shit.
That was a good one.
Fucking
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Muppet movie, anything with the Muppets except for Muppet Christmas Carol. That movie can go away.
Don't like that movie.
It's actually I'm talking shit to one of our guests here.
I know.
Sound of Music, which I just watched recently. Makes me want to go to Austria. Grease, obviously.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's a great one. And then Mary Poppins, which I guess you could pick as a Disney movie too.
Would you? I had this on my musicals. I don't know if it is or not, but I actually like Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought that was
Little Shop of Horrors. That's a classic.
Yeah. That's an absolute musical. That defines musical. That is absolutely. I saw HBIC in here mention Hamilton, and what are we talking about? Because they never really made like a cinema version of Hamilton, did they?
I know that they came out with something on television. I don't know if it was
I think it was just a recording of a live performance, wasn't it? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, of course, Mike. Yes, my wife would kill me if I didn't talk about Rocky Horror from Meatloaf on down. Yeah, that would have been if I hadn't grabbed the Blues Brothers, I would have had Rocky Horror. And the reason I didn't mention it is because it's at the top of my list on the right here that I thought was already gone. So.
I'll always remember I was going to watch that movie in 7th grade, and I was like watching all these horror movies, and I'm like, here we go. This is going to be really scary. And
what's that guy wearing?
And then I'm like, oh, this is. And honestly, Tim Curry's great. Tim
Curry's wonderful.
And everything.
Curry's great in everything.
Yeah, and everything.
There's even an episode of Criminal Minds with Tim Curry. There's a couple episodes where he's like a schizophrenic and he's amazing.
You ever see his Tales from the Crypt episode?
I don't think so.
Oh man, we're gonna have to blast each other one time.
We should watch that. Yes,
definitely.
I love Tales from the Crypt. My wife mentioned to me one that could have worked for score as well as a Disney movie, Fantasia.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great one. That's all I got here, I think. You guys got anything else?
What about, I'm surprised you didn't mention, isn't Crybaby considered a musical?
I was thinking about that.
That's Mr. Crybaby to you.
No, I'm not even saying because you like it. I'm just saying, like, when I think of musicals, even if I didn't.
Most John Waters movies are musicals, right?
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there.
We just can't talk about Pink Flamingos.
Didn't you bring it up, Tony? Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China, man. That song on the outro, Big Trouble in Little China. Big Trouble.
Thanks, Steve.
In Little China. It's
even when I talk shit to Steve, he still tells us we have a great show. Yeah, Edward Scissorhands, very good score. Another Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman, you brought up, I was looking at him here after you brought up Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Those guys are putting out lots and lots and lots of good work. Easy Rider, great. I could talk about Easy Rider's got a lot of good songs on that. The Birds song on that soundtrack. School of Rock, great.
What about Joe Dirt 2?
Oh, Joe Dirt 2 actually won the Academy Award, I think, back in 99?
Do we have to do another round so that Sam can watch you draft Geely?
Yeah, honestly, if you just want to do a ridiculous round of movies that don't even have a soundtrack, I'm game, man. Whatever you want to do.
Do it! No. Soundtracks of movies that were based on video games. Go.
Oh.
Mortal Kombat.
Oh, well, I already threw it out. Mortal Kombat.
That's all we got.
Yeah. Did Double Dragon or Super Mario Brothers with Bob Hoskins have a soundtrack? No.
Dennis Hopper.
Let's not
Dennis Hopper sang the song in the Bowser costume.
Can we talk just for a second about the fact that Dennis Hopper was in the Super Mario Brothers movie? You know who was supposed to play that character?
No, who?
Schwarzenegger.
Really?
That's who they wanted, and they ended up settling for. We actually talked about that on my in the Nintendo episode.
Interesting.
Paperboy
Very
the musical would be fantastic. Jackie, we should write that.
I got the video game in my head. That was a classic.
Yep.
I'm shocked. I said before we started, you told me you were going to pick Armageddon. What happened? When did that fall out, Brian?
I hate that movie so
I
much.
just wanted to hear you breathing, like the song says. But no, you're right. You shouldn't have picked it.
I think the end of actual good cinema was the actual peak of cinema, and then it ended was when Ben Affleck had a animal cracker that was like walking on Liv Tyler, and that was the end of civilization as we know it. It's the downfall of society.
That was it.
Yes.
Dennis
Hopper acted with James Dean, directed Easy Rider, was in Super Mario Brothers.
That's excellent.
Gee, did all those drugs mess with Dennis Hopper? You know, that like 8 weeks he disappeared on Apocalypse Now. Like, is that a thing? Or
you brought up Trent Reznor. Nine Inch Nails song was pretty good on the Lost Highway soundtrack. That wasn't a bad soundtrack.
I listened to Lost Highway the other day. I hated that movie.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, that soundtrack is really fucking good though.
It's pretty good.
What's the worst movie to have the best soundtrack? Are we going Maximum Overdrive?
Oh man.
Ooh, that's
a good question.
You say Maximum Overdrive
Maximum Overdrive was made.
Like, if we were to watch it, we'd be laughing. Like, it's bad, but like in a humorous way.
The entire goal of that movie was a vehicle for an AC/DC album. Like,
who directed that? Who directed that movie?
I know it's a Stephen King.
He directed it.
Did he direct it?
Yeah, which makes it more ridiculous.
More ridiculous, right?
That it's not good at all. But
and then he like steals the music whenever the big truck is killing somebody. It's like burp, 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 burp.
What's funny too is that I'm sure half of the songs on the album, the AC/DC songs, are like there's even Bon Scott songs on the album too, and because I remember that was my first introduction to AC/DC too, and I was like, this is all over the place. This isn't really.
Lisa Simpson's in that movie.
Oh yeah, yes.
You know what? Baloney does have a good point. Almost Famous does have a good soundtrack as well too.
My cousin texted me that like right before we started. It was like Almost Famous.
Sam said too. Spinal Tap, man. Spinal Tap is loaded with lots and lots of good stuff.
What about
Johnny Greenwood too? He said really good composer. You're right.
Mighty Wind. No, really. Like, there's some good songs on.
It is good.
Like,
can we just all agree that this was very tough to do? Regardless, Brian, you wanted to go. You wanted to have more people on here, but even if you had more people on, there's still like we're mentioning a whole bunch of soundtracks. I think like it's tough. It's tough to try to narrow everything down.
And doing this live with you guys in the chat are kind of like the lifeblood of the actual show itself too, because like your comments are keeping our commentary tight. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's like you said, there are so
High
many.
Fidelity is a great one. Good one, Mr. Hand.
That's a really, really good soundtrack.
Yep. Well, it's a movie about music. I mean, come on.
You know, Clerks is a great soundtrack.
Chewbacca.
The Alice in Chains song on that one, Got Me Wrong, is pretty.
That's a great song. Yep.
But we mentioned, like I said earlier, Return of the Living Dead, more punk rock. You know, I mean, every genre of music has got at least one. Oh, another one, if I don't bring up Superfly with Curtis Mayfield, is a great soundtrack. Lots and lots of soundtracks, man.
I think
I'm probably going to go through my movie collection and be like, oh, fuck, I missed like a couple of these.
I know. I got my records right over here. I'm like tempted to go over there and just pull because I have all the soundtracks together in one area, and I should pull them all and be like, oh, I forgot about that.
This one, no, don't go off yet. Don't leave. Stay
forever.
It's like 5 in the morning. It's 5 in the morning, and you're just like, going through records. No, lots of.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a really rough night of sleep, and I worked today, and I was just sluggish, and then like an hour before we started, I got ready to go. So like this was pretty fucking phenomenal tonight.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sitting at my in-laws an hour before watching Wheel of Fortune, and I'm like, we got to get out of here. I got to get home. I got to get on my Beavers shirt, and I got to get this popping.
You're gonna win in the end, right?
Bonus points.
You're the best.
We're gonna do a follow-up episode where we just talk about Teen Wolf.
Yeah, that's good.
Give me a keg of beer, or Teen
And
Wolf 2 with Jason Bateman.
We can do just Teen Wolf and maybe the Karate Kid soundtrack, since we didn't talk about that. We talk about Chicago.
Third is the best one, by the way.
You're the inspiration. Oh, another good
man,
one.
Chicago was ruined by Peter Cetera, man.
There was. He did. He really ruined.
Are we going
My
down
mom
this
loved
rabbit
it,
hole now with
Absolutely.
Chicago?
Absolutely.
No.
We're filling in with Chicago now.
No,
We
you're
didn't
right.
Talk about
You're
Young
right.
Guns 2, which was a solid. Blaze of Glory was a solid song for a soundtrack.
It was. Yeah. And it doesn't doesn't Bon Jovi have a cameo in that as well?
He does. He
Yeah.
does. All I remember is the video where he takes his guitar and throws it over the edge, and I'm like,
What about
and the best was it was John. You're not just Bon Jovi on that. That's John Bon Jovi on that song right there. He didn't bring the band in. It's John Bon
band
Jovi.
stayed home, right?
Solo.
Yep, there's another one. Aloha, Mr. Hand. Peter
Oh, yeah?
Gabriel was phenomenal. There's some Red Hot Chili Peppers on there. That's a good one. It's an underrated movie in general, in my opinion.
The
As far
never-ending
as-
story. Hold on, the never-ending story.
It just had the one song. It's a
Yeah.
never-ending story.
I would say two songs, and it was by that guy who sang in the band Kazujuju. That was the singer.
Oh,
who
was
did
it?
that. Yes.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Some Drive has a good soundtrack too. As like the Chili Pepper song on the Pretty Woman soundtrack is pretty good too. There's some good stuff on as a romantic soundtrack goes. See, now I'm going. We're gonna be here all night talking about romantic soundtracks and.
Oh man. Well, I think we should wrap this sucker up, guys. What do you
Alright.
think?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you
yeah.
so much for being on. This was phenomenal. These episodes keep getting better and better, in my opinion. I can't believe how good this is turning out, and I'm living the good life. I love doing this, and I'm gonna keep doing them, and this is phenomenal.
You should be rocking it.
And to think you were saying this is only going to go like around maybe 45 minutes an hour.
Yeah,
like
every episode's like that. But
127. Yeah.
I think at this point it's like a superstition now, where I have to say it, otherwise it's not. So
Yeah.
So yeah, real quick, if you guys, Tony, if you wanna talk about hook up on
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, please check me out on the Hookup on Film. Last night we had a guest on. Bud Bird is his name. He was a Hollywood artist. He actually did Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's last movie, Bones and All. Did Django, but definitely check us out. We talk about movies. I'm talking about movies all the time. The reason is trying to stay out of drama, just movies, all movies. All right, thank you.
And what's the Twitter handle and everything?
The Twitter for me is at the Sugar Baggy. For the podcast is at the Hookup on Film. We release every Wednesday morning.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for being on, Tony. Southside Bum, you want to drop a
Yeah, so
drop a
absolutely.
plug?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously I'm in every Monday at 9:00 with the Chicago Sports Bums. It's at Shy Sports Bums, always talking about anything Chicago's, pop culture, anything that we talk about. So we're always bullshitting on there as well too. So obviously some of my colleagues are on here as well too, Baloney and HBIC as well too. So definitely check us out at 9:00 every Monday.
Right on. Awesome. Well, you can find this show at on Twitter at Getting Drafty Pod. I am the Magnificent Stan at Magnificent Stan on Twitter. Please follow, like, subscribe, Tainted Glove Network. I appreciate you guys all being on, and we'll see you next time. We're gonna do next episode. We're gonna do TV movie or TV show comedy TV shows. Excuse me. And I'm gonna have the Ass Crew on. So if you don't know what that is,
Exactly know what that is.
all sports scene. Okay. But all right, thanks guys. Have a
Very
good
nice
night.
to have. Yes, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Buddy, don't wait for me.
All right.